All right, welcome everybody. Welcome. This is Jesus and Lucci here with another Saturday sweep webinar. Today's topic is how to use the options order flow to trade the gaps. And I would say that gap trading is probably the most profitable strategy for some and the worst strategy for the rest. A lot of people get stuck trading gaps incorrectly, more or less, because they missed, the overnight action. So they continue to press and get even more aggressive than they would have, because they're trying to make up for lost gains or not being there when they should have been. Whatever the case may be. Oftentimes, too, we get gaps that retrace. Especially if we're in a more volatile environment like we were back in the beginning of the year. Now we have this nice bullish trend, where we are gapping wherever there's kind of a washout the day before. And that's what we're going to go ahead and show you guys today. When you have this kind of bullish trend environment, usually you get some kind of a washout that pulls, some longs out of the equation, guts some options premium on the call side down, and then you get a monster gap up the next day, and everybody all of a sudden is just kind of left like, holy crap, I thought we were going to sell off, and now this is the most monster rally ever. And what happens in these bullish environments is that you trap all these shorts, you get all these longs to get out of their positions, and then all of a sudden you get this kind of effect where everybody just comes back on the table, once they realize what has just happened. And then, the market reaches fresh highs, and everybody just kind of wants to be involved, so you just get that kind of melt-up trading, which is the similar action that we got yesterday. We'll also show you some of that as well. But gap trading is very difficult. And options order flow can help you to ease some of the stress and some of the bias that you might have from the day before. And that, I think, is the most important part, because the bias is where you're really going to get hurt. If, let's say, you're biased to one side and that is the wrong side, you're not going to be able to shake that bias until it's too late. And the options order flow helps you to find where that sentiment is pretty quickly off the open, so that you can make better decisions on those gap days. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it to Jesus. We're going to look at a couple days here, specifically March 10th. This was a big sort of sell-off day in the market where we kind of came back to flat. Next day we gapped up considerably and just kept pushing. And then we're going to look at yesterday's action. Yesterday's action was great, where we gapped down about 14 handles and rallied 30 handles all day, and watch them rotate into a lot of new names to continue on the bullish trend. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it to Jesus here, and let's get started.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lucci. Good morning, everybody. And, yeah, I could talk about these type of days, these gap days, till I turn purple in the face, because these are hands down my favorite days to trade. And, I mean, like Lucci mentioned, they're the most difficult. All right, but the reason why they're my favorite is because this is where I feel wise guy action provides the biggest edge in this game. All right, I mean, so many times we wake up in the morning and we'll see a gap higher, wondering if those gains are going to hold. All right, or like Lucci said on Friday, we're gapping down 12, 14 handles and wondering, is the bull, the little bull rush we had over with? And without wise guy action, I mean, really, I had no way of indicating. How would anybody have any indication on the answers to any of those two questions I just mentioned? Okay? And, I would be in the same boat, basically. You get up caught up in the noise. You're listening to CNBC, listening to the gurus on Trader, and hearing both sides of the story. But a lot of times when you're in the heat of the moment, you're really unsure. Okay? And this is where a wise guy action provides the biggest edge, regardless of whether you're trading alerts or not. Sentiment, and the sentiment off the professional money is where the true edge lies in all this. All right, and we'll look quickly, like Lucci mentioned, on that March 10th, 11th sequence, because that's one of the ways. But then I want to go to Friday, because it's the most recent, freshest off your minds. and really paint the picture of how obvious, some of the flow can be to how these guys are positioning. All right, so on March 10th and 11th, the 10th, we really didn't see much action on that day, okay? It was kind of quiet. We saw a put seller in U.S. Steel, okay, was one of the most notable alerts on that day. But then we had a gap higher, okay, after a nice reversal there, we had a gap higher the next day, all right? And everybody that morning was wondering whether that gap was going to hold or not. Because the prior day, what had happened, we had gap higher, and then we sort of retraced those gains. Okay, so coming off a day, the next day, and we see another gap higher, a lot of traders were looking to short into that gap and ultimately looking for a retracement there. But the flow told us otherwise. Okay, and this is one of the ways where wise guy action could be a benefit, and then I'll get to my favorite way right after that. Here, for example, very quickly, we saw a couple things, all right? One we saw, and this was the most notable action that morning that told us everything. TLT, okay, which is the bond ETF, and I mean, sees its share of action, but as far as aggressive sweepers, not really as much as some of the other ETFs and other names. So when we see an aggressive order there, it's very noteworthy. Okay, and you can see here at 10:30 in the morning, 10:28 exactly, there was a TLT June put sweeper of 10,000 June 120 puts. All right, we did a whole webinar on this particular day and the significance of these type of orders. But I just want to paint the picture to you guys that right there and then, this is the type of action, okay, that tells us that those gains are probably safe. Okay, if there's a bearish bet on TLT, that morning, as the market starting to fade off its highs, this is the type of bet we look for to tell us, listen, the market is still strong today, and we'll probably see tack-on gains throughout the day, okay? And that's exactly what we saw off that order. And then we see some other action trickle in. We saw some SPY sweepers, 324 weekly sweepers, March monthly sweepers. So it all started to trickle in after that significant TLT bet, all right? And there's always that one, I wouldn't say unusual or strange order, but that one order that sticks out on these type of days that really gets the flow going. And I'll segue into Friday, which, guys, I mean, was picture perfect. It was absolute magic in regards to how the wise guy action was telling you exactly what was going to take place. All right, and let's pull up right from the get-go, okay, the first alert of the day in UVXY. All right, so we walk in and we gap down, all right, like Lucci said, around 14 handles, around that level. And the first thing we see at 9:34 is a UVXY put sweeper. He sweeps 1,400 April 20.5 puts for 220. Now, let me paint the picture for you guys what was going on at that moment of the day, all right? UVXY was up 6% right out of the gate, okay? Right out of the gate. You can see here, gap higher because the market gap lower, all right? And I'll be honest with you, I mean, traders that, I follow, listen to, we're all talking about maybe this is a time to hop on UVXY, believe it or not, up 6%, and, ride it higher to take advantage of market weakness. But obviously, the pros, the wise guys, as I call them, were thinking the total opposite. Not only were they betting against this product, they were betting aggressively against this product, all right? And UVXY, VXX, when these aren't the type of products that see aggressive sweepers a lot. They see them you see them often in volatile times, okay? But if we were in, the bull market a couple of years ago, you just don't see these guys, okay? They don't surface. But when you're in these type of conditions, the edge that this type of order can provide is tremendous. And you can see here, okay, right out of the gate, right into the open, they started sweeping up puts, all right? And you can see here, right around this range, I mean, they nailed the top of the day in this UVXY. The absolute top of the day, This thing never even came close to seeing highs ever again.
I think
And just
shortly after you had that VXX call selling too. I remember that one you threw out there as
it's all, look, right here. I'm going to go step by step here.
Yep.
Okay, so after the UVXY, and I'm going to put you guys in my desk here, all right? So you could get a sense of what I was thinking. As soon as I see that order, I'm in automatic bull mode now, okay? I don't even care what the indices are doing. I don't care what the noise is telling me. Wise guys are telling me they're betting against this UVXY and anticipating a squeeze here. All right, and this is all stuff in the Steam Room chat, all the commentary I offer. All right, and you know, right after we saw this order, I immediately posted in chat that you know, sweepers were anticipating a squeeze here. Be on your toes if you're short, or look at whatever you were looking at to get long. And I know Lucci was quite excited about that IBB action the day prior. We'll get into that, Lucci, in a minute. But that's basically what I was thinking there, okay? And now I'm watching the flow that follows to give me an idea. All right, they're anticipating a squeeze. Where's the money going into now, okay? What sector, what names are they going to get long? That's the next step here. So we can see here XLI, that was a weekly sweeper, okay, cheap but significant because they expired that day. All right, that's the industrial ETF. So that's bullish sweeper number 2, okay, into morning weakness. Still 937 here, really early. Okay, JetBlue, see some bullish action here. Then VXX, this is what Lucci was referring to. We see some call selling in the VXX. Okay, so another bullish sign in these volatility products. This guy sold 2,000 of the 422.24 calls. All right, and the VXX at the time, you know, was trading with the UVXY, and the call sellers were right around these levels here. This is where they started hitting bids on those calls. All right, so we're still early in the morning here. And here's the thing, guys, there's ample time. There's no reason to rush per se. Okay, it's not like you're trailing or you're tailing one of the alerts and it's very aggressive and you have to hop on it before it goes. When this type of sentiment, okay, it gives you enough time to look around, catch a breath, and, you know, start a position somewhere. You're in no rush. And this is where I think this is the aspect of wise guy action that I think could be most useful to all traders. You know, everybody wants the alerts, but this is where, you know, this could be a huge edge for everybody. All right, so let's just scroll up here. You can see FIT caught some more action. That's been bullish action all week there in FIT. And here was the next significant order. This was Teva, a name I traded. All right, so now this is a pharma name. Now, just to give you guys an idea, IBB, for probably the first time in months, a long time, caught aggressive sweepers Thursday afternoon, late. All right, and you know, a lot of traders were looking at that IBB. It was sort of basing, never really made much of a move, couldn't get it out of its own way. So those significant call sweepers on Thursday were an indication that momentum was possibly going to come into these IBB names now, and pharma names, biotech names. All right, and here was another piece of confirmation. Teva, September, okay, but very aggressive order. Almost a $300,000 bet. He sweeps multiple exchanges, takes out offers, okay? And like I said, for me to tail a September bet, it's got to be aggressive, all right? And that's over here this morning. All right, so now just to give you the idea, we got UVXY put sweepers. We got VXX call sellers. We got a confirmation, tack on buyers in the IBB Farmer Group in Teva. All right, and you can see how this all just comes together slowly. You know what I mean? It's step by step. Then we get a small bet, but they expire that day, a QQQ in the money bet. All right, and this is in the morning. Again, I got it marked off, all marked off here so you can see. All right, so this is a little after 9:45, around 9:50-ish. They start hitting up QQQ 4-1 weeklies, which expired Friday. So again, the interpretation of that order is they're looking for a grind higher the rest of the day. I mean, that's why they're buying 4-1 weeklies.
Where did the Qs end up? Where did the Qs end up for that session?
Oh, the Qs were a monster. And the Qs, you know, you
Did
talk
did
about
we
the
get back
Qs.
to 110? Oh, okay. So we got back to 109. Oh, wow. We
That's a
did hit
lot,
110. Jeez.
you know, so, and the Qs, you know, not only with the IBB on Thursday, the QQQ and Big Tech have seen action that I haven't seen in a long time.
Yep,
I'm talking about
Microsoft all-time highs. So you got Cisco, all these names. Yep.
Apple, Facebook, those, you
Yep.
know, QQQ. I mean, on Thursday, they went out to September,
Yep.
$1 million bets, and they hit the QQQ September 113, 114, 115 calls.
And
You
that
know,
puts it right back at all-time highs. That puts it right back to all-time freaking highs.
yep. And again, you know, that Thursday action, okay, even though it wasn't tradable per se because it was a dead day and the IBB and the Qs came later in the afternoon, that all painted the picture for what was going to happen Friday. You know, like think about it. Thursday, there was some sharp action, like I mentioned, in Big Tech and IBB. And then we gapped lower Friday, not higher. So now we had it was a gift. It was an opportunity for us to get in even cheaper than where these guys got in. But again, we needed the flow to confirm that. And as you can see, step by step here, it absolutely did. All right, here's the Tava bet that came after the initial sweep, $925,000 bet there on the Tava. Okay, and that's what ultimately sent it into orbit, as you can see here. Here's where I was long. I sold it here, and it ended up grinding higher. But, you know, I'll take that any given day. All right, and then, you know, Deere, which was seeing put action, saw some dip buying. Hilton, AGN, another pharma name, excuse me, but out to January. EFA, okay, which is an ETF, global ETF. XLI, more action there. The industrials. Here's another significant bet that caught my eye. All right, and the time of this was around a little after 10 o'clock. Okay, they started off small there, and then they came in with 9,000. FXI, okay, that's China. All right, and here's where they came in. And this thing absolutely, you know, same thing with the markets, just grinded higher throughout the day, nice and easy. And again, this just every little alert, one after the other, just confirmed what we started seeing late Thursday. The beauty about it was they gave us a gap down on Friday. And you could see even the professionals out there and thought of it as a gift, because look where we ended up. I mean, I almost forgot we were down Friday morning. All right, NVIDIA sweepers, it's been seeing galore. Here's another order in that biotech arena, Gilead. Okay, November, but a nice bet there. Okay, he sweeps a 500,000 plus, 97.5 calls, and Gilead. All right, here you can see the order here, 900 plus at 560, laying some decent wood. So now, again, you know, you have that IBB pharma theme in your head, all right, from Thursday afternoon into Friday morning, and this is just all confirmation that this thing is in play. And, you know, like I said, we saw the UVXY and we saw the VXX at the open. Then I told you I was bullish. Now I'm looking for what groups are they pouring into? Big tech and pharma biotech, plain and simple. And this is the picture that if you allow the flow to just tell you without you coming in with a bias leaning one way, and you allow the flow to paint the picture for you, that's why these gap days, you know, some people are confused. I love these days, you know, because this is where you can see the flow diverge from the market and the prices itself, and that's where the real money is made in this game. All right, KSU, solid bet there. Okay, another sharp bet. Then this Netflix sweep, I like to punch him in the face. All right, he comes in here at 1027. All right, and an $800,000 sweep of May 110 calls. All right, and let's see Netflix here. The fade, he nails the low of this fade, the first morning fade in Netflix. He absolutely nails the lows. You can see here, you know, Netflix running higher. Here's the first fade. You know, we wonder, Netflix, are the gains going to hold? This thing's kind of weak. What should we do? This guy comes in and throws an absolute missiles right at the lows. And that's all she wrote for Netflix as the stock ran higher from there. McDonald's saw some bullish action. Baba, big earnings bet out to July. Here was another beauty. VXX, this is 10:37 in the morning, and you can see my little oh man. He buys 8,000 September 14 puts for $1.18. So ultimately, they were just all day long, guys. They were hammering the UVXY VXX puts all day long throughout the day. They just kept hitting these things up. All right. So here was the initial action right at the open, early morning. All right, and here is where that September put sweeper comes in, looking for more downside. All right, and that's basically, you know, what we look for here. You know, the bullish theme to continue. And now, so guys, again, I want to put you guys in my shoes at my desk to think what I'm thinking at this point right here. We have the Thursday action. We have the UVXY put sweepers out of the gate. We're bullish. Okay, we made some money. Now we know the groups they're going into. Okay, now the question is, what do we do? This market reversed into green now. Okay, what do we do with the winners we're holding on to? Do we sell? Is this market going to reverse? Do we look to play the put side and take advantage of maybe a reversal? So now we're looking for what the flow is telling us to do at that point, okay, after that initial reversal, and it's obvious it's telling us stay bullish, all right? I mean, VXX continued put flow, bullish action, Facebook, Netflix, you name it. I mean, just continues throughout the day. Here's more Facebook, Netflix, Apple, caught some algo sweeps. Everything was on the bullish side. VXX, a little bit more. You know, Qualcomm caught a nice bet. Google, a name to watch as we go into next week. Some sharp action there in Google going out to January, had a nice move. Now we see a 4.8 call buyer. Okay, so this is how the flow lines it all up. And, you know, you don't see the flow be as obvious as it is on these days every day. You know, you can't expect that. But this is why I get excited when I wake up and the futures are down 15, because I know there's a chance that they can come in and buy weakness. And again, I have that edge in the flow telling me the different story that the market and the noise around us is telling us. All right? So this is basically, I mean, as clean cut as you're going to get, Lucci. You could talk a little bit about how it assisted you in your IBB monster trade on Friday. Congratulations, by the way.
Nice.
It was a beauty. And take it from there.
Sure. All right, guys. So, again, these are going to get a little better, too, once we increase our tech here in the current chat room as well. So what you're going to see in the future in the Steam room is you're going to see a historical scroll, basically, where you can just search the alerts, where you can just physically search exactly what ticker you want, and then you can go through the database as you need and pull up action from either just by ticker or just by date. So that way you can go back, you know, on a monthly basis. People always want to take a look a little bit further back just so they can, you know, try to do some analysis on, you know, on things that they might have made mistakes on or whatever the case may be. So we are working on that for the next sort of upgrade for the chat room. Again, guys, what we are doing, we are giving the coupon for you guys to get into the room for just $49 for the first month. You can use the coupon code, or sorry, the link that I dropped for you in the webinar. You can find it in your questions tab there. And what it'll do is it'll give you the first month for $49, so you can get in there, test out some of the flows, see how it can help your strategy thus far, maybe whatever it is that you're working on. Maybe you're a technical trader, swing trader, futures guy, whatever it is. See how some of the order flow can help adjust your bias. can help, give you a little bit of sentiment read and avoid some losses or avoid some trades altogether. And then you get rebuild 199 after that. I would say monster example here for the gap yesterday. Again, like I was sitting there watching the futures trade in the morning, and it was really interesting. They just kind of leaned us down for about 10 handles off the open. And then we just kind of sat down there for a while. There was everything was red. Everything was in the red. And if we're taking a look at this IBB, this is a perfect example. What the sweeper was on Thursday was, I believe, 265s, I want to say, for the April monthlies. Am I right on that one, Jesus?
They were 4.8. 4.8 weekly, April 8 weeklies.
Oh, okay. And they were 260s? Or
265.
Oh, wow. Okay, so watch where they came in on Thursday. And again, like I just kind of flagged this because, I've been waiting to trade this thing, whenever I could get a chance here. And it looks like they paid 3.5 for this thing. We opened up the next day. And it looks like they don't even trade this thing because, again, this is a very illiquid option. So it is kind of difficult to trade. Notice one print came off down here at 2.5 to open up the day. I ended up going with the 270 call. So if you take a look at these, they opened up, they opened up at around 160. I saw a print go off down at 140. And I'm looking at all this activity, and I'm looking at IBB trade. And, IBB couldn't really hold at 260, and all of a sudden I see this monster sweep, and this is basically right after Jesus called out the, the VIX, all the VIX action. So the VIX put seller and the VIX call seller, the put buyer and the call seller. So I'm like, okay, chances are we're probably going to rally at least a little bit. So I'm going to start adding into a little bit down here, right? So I start buying 160. A lot of this is me down here. I start buying 180. I start buying $2, and then I just swept. I just swept the book here once this thing actually pushed to fresh highs and came back after this dip here. So I got whatever I could on the dip here, and once we came back to these highs, I just swept everything I could. So a good amount of this is me right here. I was also in another option, and I was able to get a good 80 to 100 contracts here in this one as well as another strike, and rode this up really well. If you take a look at the Amgen and the Gilead, I traded these things as well. So it's what it was. What it was it was just literally a price juke, and what happens is that pre-market there's a lot of pre-market manipulation as far as price goes, and what that does is that creates and it sets in a bias for many traders, for a lot of traders. It doesn't matter what it doesn't matter what level of trader you are. Fact is, you're looking at price kind of decrease as the market opens. We're down 14 handles here. You're like, okay. Does this market really still have legs? And then all of a sudden, once you see that order flow hit the tape that Jesus is able to get for us, that will allow you to make those kind of decisions. And usually, some of the biggest moves happen off of some of these fake outs, is what I call them. These little price fake outs, these little pre-market price fake outs. Sometimes they happen during the day as well. And it's enough to cause a lot of traders to throw in the towel. You know what I mean? To sell out of positions, to give up. For example, you take a look at this Netflix. She hit 104. This thing was bullish from the jump, but had a monster pullback. And everybody was wondering, like, what the hell is going on with Netflix? I'm even in the chat room, and people are like, well, dude, what's going on with Netflix? What's going on with Netflix? In reality, nothing was going on with Netflix. And it was just a timing thing. It's just a timing thing, and it's just kind of chop in the market. Once you see that flow line up correctly, then it opens up the door for a lot of cleaner trading, and that's what we need. That's what we want. You don't want to mess around in shit like this. You want to mess around where there's steam behind you, where there's smarter players behind you. That's really where you want to mess around. So as soon as all that stuff added up on that IBB, all I needed was the sign to go. And Jesus was able to give us the sign. So, again, we can find these trades quite often, during a monthly basis. And again, not every day is going to set up nicely like this. But when they do, these setups are freaking sweet. You know, and they allow us to rack up some solid gains so that during the off days when we're over trading, hopefully we don't lose it all and dump it all back. You know, but again, that's an emotional issue, and that's kind of a personal thing where you guys have to deal with. But so I would say thank you to Jesus for the webinar thus far. Again, you guys have the link for the chat room. You can get in here for $49 for the first month. This is only going for people who are registered to this webinar. Also, you can get the recordings as well. If you don't know how to get the recordings, email Seth at sanglucci.com or Greg at sanglucci.com, and he'll go ahead and let you view some of the previous webinars that we had. Let's open it up for Q&A. We got some time here, so 5-10 minutes here for Q&A. Harry here has a question. What are the hours for the Steam Room? And is there specific alerts or commentary only? So, Jesus, you want to give Harry just a rundown on private Twitter and what happens in the chat room?
Yeah, the private Twitter is basically the alerts themselves, okay? The Steam Room and the chat, I call it just the actual Steam Room, but the main difference is the commentary, not only by me, but you have Lucci as well. I mean, Lucci had that IBB trade all set up, and then when the action came in and confirmation that that action was aggressive and sharp from my commentary, that's how you put trades together. And that's where, you know, the value is in the chat as opposed to private Twitter where it's just alerts, okay? The chat room, we talk about the action. We have webinars in the morning, twice a week. So we go over everything. And I don't know what you mean as far as hours are concerned. We pop in and out, you know, off hours throughout the day. But we're in there early morning till probably around 6 o'clock every single day. So, but that's where the value is in the chat itself. Because, listen, you can't expect to come into this, especially if you're not familiar with Wise Guy action, and just look at the alerts, okay, and be able to get a gauge on all this. That's where my experience comes in and could assist you in that matter, you know. When you see an order, you can ask me a little bit about it. I offer commentary on every single alert that hits the screen, also with a game plan around it. So, I mean, there's a lot of value in itself in that.
Yep. Yeah, so Harry, again, you might be overseas. That might be why you're asking. So, I mean, we're obviously the Steam Room is extremely active. The private Twitter is extremely active during market hours, 9:30 Eastern time to 4 p.m. Eastern time. So that's when obviously we are most active. But you got to think of this as a community. So everybody here, like, we're PMing each other all the time. You know, I know a significant number of the people in this room, and I know them. You know, I would venture to say Jesus and I know them much more than just Twitter confidants, so to speak. You know, we all discuss personal trading issues, things that we need to work on, things that we can help each other with, and all that kind of stuff. So it's more or less a community that is active even outside of trading hours as well. We got another question here from Harry here. So the subscription gives access to both Steam Room and private Twitter. Negative. So you can elect for either or. The Steam Room, though, yes. Oh, sorry. Yes. So if you get the Steam Room for the $49 a month for the first month, you get both. Absolutely, you get both. You know, so for that first month, you will be able to access this private Twitter feed. If you are unable to hop in on the you know, in the chat room during the day, you do also get absolutely you do get the private Twitter feed as well. Dennis is saying website says 225. If you use this link, though, you should be good. Again, I sent you the link, but I will send it to you again. If you use this link, this will give you the coupon code for the first month, 45. Any other questions here? Francis is saying Priceline and Win yesterday. Win is an interesting name because there's still some outstanding bets on this one. and it still has breakout potential. So I'll be looking at this one going forward. If you look at this one, I believe there was some 96 bets, even some 97 bets. Can she spin up to $100? It's definitely possible. There was also LVS bets that we saw, not too long ago, I believe Friday or Thursday. So this one
Thursday.
yep, Thursday. So this one has some legs here. MGM2 still looking really good. Actually looking better now than the other two, simply because I think those Macau numbers came out. And they were a little bit dismal, I guess. So, the win, maybe the win and the LVS are kind of being thrown to the back. I don't know. But this MGM looks pretty damn good, too. This was one of the movers for Friday. So definitely going to be looking at this one going forward. Priceline is a different beast. You got, all the terrorism shit that's happening everywhere. This has definitely affected the stock thus far. There's still ridiculous price targets on this thing, 1,500, 1,600. In all-time highs, I think is right up here, 14 and change. This thing has been in rabid consolidation here for years now. I am waiting for this thing to get destroyed down to $900, but I think I'm going to have to wait a little bit longer. Expedia and Trip definitely don't look that good. So maybe, I don't know. Well, I don't know. We're going to have to give this one a little bit of time. Any other questions? Any other questions at all, specifically on the Steam Room, private Twitter, or anything? Again, it's a great place, great community here, good to check out, and can assist a lot of different styles of trading. We talk about all the time, but it really can assist in whether you're an options trader, equities trader, scalper, swing, position, futures trader, whatever it is. We got another question here from Kelvin. Are you guys seeing any part-time traders in the room that use the Steam Room for swings? Absolutely. We got a lot of those guys. They use a lot of it for sentiment read. So, you might see those guys that are just electing maybe to use the private Twitter, for example, Kelvin, if they don't have time to mess around in the Steam Room and talk chats. But I do have a lot of part-time guys that'll just ping me on the PM. And we'll kind of just throw things back and forth. Omar is saying you did not use any option strategy. Dude, I am an options trader, bro. This is all I do. I use options all day. Every day. As far as strategy, as far as taking other sides of the trades, hedging and things like that, of course I do that as well when I do feel necessary. But most of us in here are discretionary traders. We're going for the direction, and to find the direction, we are using aggressively most of the options order flow. Omar is saying like iron condors and butterflies. I personally do not use these things. That is a more I would say conservative strategy, which is totally fine. That is a way of making sure you're locking in your sort of downside and you know what your risk is, which is awesome. And I feel like more people should. So Omar, you can use those condor strategies in making sure you outline your risk. So for example, if you see a lot of aggressive SPY activity and you want to go long the SPY, you put on a butterfly trade, you put on an iron condor, whatever it is that you need to do, or you put on a spread. There's a lot of other things that you can do to make sure you minimize your downside, and that's your option. You know what I mean? So Omar, we have a lot of traders that do that, a lot of traders that choose to trade equity, a lot of traders that choose to trade futures. So that's all on you. Bob is saying, can I get text when a Twitter alert is sent? So we got old Bob here wants the he wants the text alerts. Jesus, what do we?
You could set that up. You could set that up via Twitter.
Oh, you can you? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Twitter. You can have where.
Oh, you put in your mobile number. Yeah, you put in your mobile number on Twitter, and then boom, it just shoots out. It just shoots out text. Yeah, so you don't even have to. Yeah, so Bob, you are able to do that through Twitter. And then you can get these as text alerts. Right, so you don't need, by the way, like we didn't want to do that before. We might do that now just with what's coming out on the private Twitter feed. I never wanted to do that before simply because, I don't want to be at risk for, it's not really at risk because we know we offload all that risk to you guys. I mean, if you guys end up choosing to trade some of these things, but we'd rather you guys understand how to use this stuff. And you know, I don't want some retail guy who doesn't know how to trade all of a sudden, you know, starting to just buy everything or sell everything. So this is kind of like, you know, this is why we have the Steam Room too. It's a much better place to understand how to use this, you know, a lot of the options order flow.
Exactly. They're not stock picks. They're far from stock picks.
Exactly.
I just want to throw in to Calvin's question. He was talking about part-time swing traders. Calvin, the one thing about the actual Steam Room, okay, the private Twitter alerts, you're just getting the flow alerts, okay? So basically you have to have an idea or a game plan of how to trade them, and you know, that's all on your plate basically. What comes with the Steam Room chat, even if you're a part-time trader, we have these webinars where me and Lucci go over the action. We talk about the theme that's taking place, you know, what the flow is telling us. We talk about repeat buying activity, which sets up for good swing trades. So honestly, if you're more of a part-time swing trader, I think you're going to find more value in the chat room itself, only because we offer commentary, discuss, and analyze that stuff. You know, the Twitter alerts themselves, you're just getting the flow alerts, and basically, you know, you're the driver there. You're putting it all together and trying to make sense out of everything. Indeed. All right, so I would definitely check out, especially with the $49 for the first month, check out the chat room, Calvin, because putting it all together is where the juice is in this thing. Okay, I mean, anybody could set up a scanner, whether it's for big trade alerts or unusual activity, and if you trade solely off that, you're going to get buried in this game. It's how to interpret the flow. You know, let me add this, okay? There is so much option activity out there. You guys wouldn't understand how many people a day on Twitter, everywhere, Jesus, did you see this? Did you see that? Did you see this? And, you know, I'm looking at maybe 1% of the action that's taking place in the options market. Okay, I'm focusing on just a specific type of behavior, all right, and that's what's proven to make me money consistently in the past. And, you know, and again, the interpretation of that flow is where the true edge lies in this. Okay, so you're not going to just walk in, look at these alerts, and figure out how to make money, and that's where the chat room will help you incorporate that into a style for you to trade.
Nice, nice, nice. Okay, all right. I think we'll close it up here. That looks like we're ending. No more questions here. Guys, by the way, like, we are continuing to build out the tech within this chat room. So what you're going to see here is new channels being created for different types of things that people want to talk about versus, you know, just talking about stocks. There's a lot of things that all of us have in common. For example, taxes, for example, you know, you name it, whether it's just finance links or stuff that we want to talk about outside of trading, whether it's psychology, you know, the mental aspect of things, broker topics, which ones to pick, Q&A, all that kind of stuff. So everything is continuing to advance as far as technology-wise in this particular room, and you guys get to be, you know, just a front-facing part of it, getting to use these things as we roll them out. We have one more question here from Carlos. I read you provide some info about algo activity. What kind of? There's a couple different ways that we do this, and you know, I'm just going to go ahead and talk about a partnership that we currently have with Hft Alert. So Hft Alert is a site that I don't know if most of you guys know, but again, like, this is all going to get juiced up as well. Where these guys, again, Stephen Hammer, who is the, you know, who's the guy over at Hft Alert, this guy's been in the game for quite some time and is able to look at the market from a completely different perspective than normal price followers and things like that. So he's able to look at how some of the order execution algos come into the market and they buy and sell. He's able to look at buy and sell programs, analyze, you know, the strength and or the weakness behind some of these things. He's able to analyze a lot of the momentum that happens just underlying, looking at every transaction that hits the tape in the market on 100 to 1,000 different names. and is able to provide that kind of info. So at some point, we're going to conjoin here. So you'll see, or you'll be able to get, for example, Hft Alert right here built into, your Steam Room feed as well. Dark pools, especially too, that is his specialty. So he's able to see and be able to aggregate for you quickly if there's a lot of dark pool activity on a particular name, buying and selling dark pool activity on a particular name or particular indexes, or a slew of different names, aka buy programs and sell programs. So for example, like anybody who trades the SPY or looks at the ES, you know that you see very quick activity within short periods of time. These are all buy programs, and they happen over a slew of different names. So what Stephen Hammer is able to do is understand how many different names they hit, how aggressive this stuff is, what is the environment around it, what is the algo activity all across the board, and he's able to package it all and give it to you, a lot cleaner than a lot of us could, because most of us do not have access to be able to find that, or if we do, it'll take us way too long to piece it all together, and he's able to create a really good piece of software to be able to do that for you. So again, we're going to conjoin here, and you'll be able to get a subscription to Hft Alert as well, right in the Steam Room too. So stick around for that activity as well. Any other questions? I think we're good here, man. I got to jet out to Connecticut here for a party, man. Jesus, so we're gonna go ahead and close this out. Jesus, man, thank you for the webinar here, and we'll see you guys next Saturday. You guys know obviously the link. If anybody doesn't have the link by now or still having some issues, email Greg at sayinglucci.com. Francis, of course, HFT will be extra cost, my man. This is all stuff that is very valuable that people pay extra, like a good bunch of premium just to know this information, because it is vital to their trading. And just like options order flow is now vital to my trading, Jesus trading as well, we need this flow, and it is worth a good penny to be able to get access to it. All right, guys. So take care. We will go ahead and post up this recording. Jesus, man, have a good weekend, and we'll see you guys on Monday.
You too. Have a good weekend, everybody.